way. It's pretty, I'm sure you guys have seen it yourself. All right, so as you can kind of see right there, we're starting to load back into the game once again. So we are now going to be going into the lobby, and in fact, there we go. It looks like game number 1 is officially ready. We have well, we're going to get a lot of questions answered, that's for sure.
Yep.
We got a great best of the 3 ahead of us. Experience Gaming taking on Q Squad. Let's take a look at game number 1. All right, so as you can see, Experience Gaming is going to be on the Legion side, Q Squad on the Hellborn side here in what is the first game of a best out of 3. So the blind band's taking place. Silhouette Dracona is taken out by Loda right there. Ophelia and Warbeast coming out from Q Squad. So interesting stuff, actually.
Yeah, I think what Hellborn's strategy is to get rid of the port heroes, and I think the Legion's strategy is get rid of the quote-unquote S2 heroes, the heroes that seem to be hard carries right now that are popular in the metagame that maybe they don't know that much about.
Yeah.
So, but they've heard a lot about them. Of course, Draconis is a hero that came on not too long ago, but and there's that first lock. What do you know? It's Kronos. Quick follow-up from Nova is that Fade and Pebbles.
Jeez. Wow, yeah, that's a strong follow-up couple of locks right there. And you know, if you're Loda, of course, I would hope that he'd be looking at those and seeing maybe first pick one of those instead, feeling pretty confident that QsQ is not going to go Kronos themselves in that lock-picking stage. But obviously, we're still ways away from getting to that point. But yeah, right. So Nova going with the Fade and the Pebbles lock. But that's actually a good point to bring up. But again, not to sugarcoat it, yeah, so these guys over here on the Experience Gaming side, a lot of these players are coming from playing a lot of Dota 2 lately. And it is kind of interesting to see, you know, are they playing the Dota-style heroes? Are they playing those quote-unquote ports more so? Obviously, there have been changes enough where it's hard to say there's any direct ports anymore. But are they playing those similar heroes, or are they willing to go out and try these quote-unquote S2 heroes?
The thing you have to be careful for is that just because a hero is maybe good in Dota 2 doesn't mean it's good in HoN, and vice versa.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's different balance changes. There's different. It's a different game because you have so many different so many more variables. You know, Dota has heroes that HoN doesn't have. HoN has heroes that Dota doesn't have. And so you got to be careful. And there's also differences just in general between heroes, like Chrono Dota Port Void. There are, you know, glaring similarities and differences. So you have to be careful about that. You can't just pick it and it owns in Dota. They don't know this, and I'm going to pick it now and own them in HoN because they don't know. Now, you got to be really careful about that.
Yeah, so. Well, you see their 3 locks. I mean, all of those are, again, quote-unquote Dota ports to an extent. We do have Voodoo Jester is actually going to be the final lock coming up from Q Squad. Again, especially with it being Nova over there. Can't be too surprised about that. But, yeah, Jerazai and then Slither being locked up here. Well, so
here's a perfect example of that. Slither or Venomancer in Dota is very strong and picked up frequently as a strong laning support. In this game, not so much. The main reason is a long time ago, if you remember, his spray was nerfed significantly, so you have to actually level it up to get that full range of it. In Dota, it's different, and so you have to remember all those things. And
the wards as well.
The wards as well, yes, exactly. There's a change there as well.
Yeah.
That gives a little bit more vision. That was weird. I saw a little bug on my screen. But anyway, yeah, it's important of things to note that. So anyway, the banding phase, or the locking phase is finished. And as we jump into the ban phase, Plague Rider and Nymphora. Nymphora is a hero, man. Whew. That hero is so strong. Sometimes you forget about him, and then you see him in a game, you're like, oh my god, that ultimate.
Why was she allowed to be picked up?
Exactly. Dr. Repulsor banned out actually from Loda. I don't think I've ever seen a Dr.
Well, remember we saw Style play Dr. Repulsor yesterday against Fortune Bakery, so maybe it was just as simple as him just looking back at the recent games.
Could be.
And saw that? I don't know.
Could be. Wild Soul banned out by Nova. And then the final ban from Loda is Keeper of the Forest, and I got to give him big props to doing that. Not only do I think Keeper of the Forest is ridiculously strong to those teams that pick him up, but I'm not the biggest fan. I don't think he's like that fun to watch, personally. But you know, whatever.
12 armor.
12 armor. Glacius is the final ban for Nova, and here we go. First pick. I do know. I'm gonna just say Tundra really quickly. But I do know when Loda was playing a lot of HoN, you know, up to DreamHack Winter and North American Star League Season 2 finals, he played a fantastic Tundra, and he picked Tundra a lot. So I'm just throwing it out there. Of course, they are first pick Tundra is available as among a lot of other heroes, but just throwing it out there.
Well, just in general, I mean, Tundra obviously is a very worthy first pick potential hero. So Yeah, wouldn't be surprised if that is the option here, going to be coming out from Loda. Of course, for Experience Gaming, you still got, you know, your Bubbles. I'm sure they can probably value him fairly high as well. You got Parasite, Tempest. I mean, there's actually a lot of heroes left open that we do see banned quite often. But Tempest is actually going to be their first hero pick of choice. And the response coming out from QsQ is going to be Pharaoh Parasite. So Pharaoh, Jonas a fan, as we always say, is a fantastic Pharaoh player. So not too big of a surprise there. And they do pick up the Parasite, who we do see banned a lot more lately than not banned. And Malay, great Parasite player.
Yeah, and not only are those two heroes that QsQ are comfortable with, they're also two heroes that are great counters to Tempest. So it goes hand in hand, man. It just kind of worked out well. And I feel like even if Tempest wasn't picked, those could have been heroes that QsQ was looking at anyway. So now the other thing I was just thinking about is when we were casting Experience Gaming before, and when they were playing some of the lower tier teams, were they perhaps picking things that maybe they wouldn't have picked if they were playing better teams? It's just one thing to kind of think about. I'm not quite sure. So we'll have to kind of evaluate how they pick here. There's a Tundra pickup on top of that Tempest, so I love that. Lots of map control with that Hawker, a.k.a. Shiver. And then, yeah, so good start from both teams. And then there's a Wretched Hag. So I actually like Wretched Hag here because they have a Tundra and they're going to need another solo, probably. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I am expecting probably actually that Kronos out of that pool because they don't really have a hard carry, and I think they need that. Yeah. Probably a hard carry going to be picked up here for QsQ, I would imagine. Maybe something like a Dark Lady. Oh, well, what do you know?
You called it just before. I'll give you that. So, yeah. Dark Lady is going to be the carry of choice again. You got Jonas with Pharaoh, you got Nox on Dark Lady, you got Mally on Parasite. It's pretty obvious. I'm sure if they finish off with like a Voodoo Jester Pebbles here, you got Style on Pebbles, Nova on Voodoo Jester. It really, exactly. They're so defined with their roles, and it's when we could do that as casters, we could say exactly who's going to be playing which hero. You know that they got a great thing going for them. So, I think. What's that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just speculating what here.
Yeah.
What they probably will pick is, well, actually, they don't have to pick Kronos right here. Because there's no way. Yeah, so they are going to go with the Solid support. I think Fade would have been so good. Now, you could run the risk of not having a carry and just kind of go, early to mid game, tons of aggression, tons of push power with Tundra and Tempest, and then have the Fade. Of course, I thought for sure Fade was going to be picked up there along with the Voodoo over Pebbles. I think Fade just by himself is a little bit more strong than Pebbles. Also, one thing to remember, too, is a long time ago, Pebbles, well, not a long time ago, but a little bit of time ago, Pebbles did receive some nerfs, so his combo doesn't do as much damage. That can be factored in if you're trying to decide between Fade and Pebbles. But then the last pick here is, of course, that Kronos. They knew that they couldn't pick up Kronos and Dark Lady both on QsQ, so they saved their pick and then got their Slither first.
Yeah, that was just obviously very smart by Loda, realizing that, and not worth putting that. Now, granted, the chances of them picking up Slither as well would have been pretty low as well. So they probably would have ended up with the same two heroes when it's all said and done. But
true,
that's neither here or there. But so they got Loda on Kronos. That's again when we cast them last weekend against. I'm honestly blanking on who they were even playing, but it was definitely a lesser known team, at least lesser experienced team, the QsQ. He played it very well as we expected. So how is he going to match up here against QsQ? I will say I look at Experience Gaming's lineup, man. It's got AoE synergy written all over. That's for sure. Your Tempest, Kronos, Slither, Hag, and even Tundra to an extent can bring something pretty powerful to the table when it comes to team fights. So that's where they can no doubt shine. You look at the Hellborn side. Thing that really shines to me is, well, two things: gank potential for sure, and then obviously you got your hard carry, big time hard carry in Dark Lady. So, but yeah, this both teams definitely have their advantages when it comes to the lineups.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like they are going to go with the Suicide Tundra. Now, Tundra is walking up here. And, yeah, this is kind of an interesting... Oh, he hasn't done it yet. Okay, he's probably going to, charge the trees. So it gives him a little bit more vision about what's going on, maybe who's trying to gank him once he goes up to that Suicide lane. But that's going to give QsQ a good indication of how their lanes are going to set up for Experience Gaming. So most likely going to have a free-farming Kronos in the bottom lane against the Suicide Pharaoh. One of the things, also, if you're following QsQ frequently lately, is that just because they have a Pharaoh picked up doesn't mean it's Suicide, because we've actually seen a number of games where they've actually dual-laned or even tri-laned Pharaoh to kind of throw people off. So in this case, it does look like it is actually going to be a Suicide Pharaoh. And I have to say, in a metagame where Suicides are so prominent, you can pick a plethora of different support heroes that work effectively. But wait, okay, they just switched something up, and now they're actually going to go Slither and Kronos mid. Yeah. I was just going to talk about how I think Slither, if it was a Suicide Pharaoh, would actually crush him, absolutely dominate him, because he's a melee hero. So I'm interested to see why they're dual laning mid. All this tells me is Voodoo is just going to transition to the mid lane, and Voodoo Fade. I mean, that's a strong lane too, but yeah, just kind of curious right there. I feel like if they just went bottom, but nonetheless, it is going to be a Hag bottom who actually should do just as well against the Pharaoh.
Yeah. Yeah, so as you expected, I'm sure Nova on Voodoo Jester, maybe a little bit of harassment here on Tundra for the first minute or so, but very likely we'll eventually head to this mid lane and make it a 2 versus 2. But in the end, when we saw Slither locked, you kind of talked about it. And by the way, just a quick note, I mean, all the heroes on Experienced Gaming side, sure enough, are again either semi-port or somewhat ports of from Dota. So that's kind of interesting to look at as far as their hero selection overall. They don't have any of those unique S2 heroes, but Slither is going to be playing a support role here, the babysit support in this case for Kronos right now in the laning phase. Obviously, with a 2 versus 1 matchup, I'm sure by all means that'll be fine. What do you ultimately make of Slither now in the support role here for HoN?
It's fine. If you're going up against a melee, it's fine. Because you can keep him out if he does level up that passive. He actually hasn't leveled up the passive just yet. So I'm kind of curious about that. Even if he got a spray off, how is the level 1 Kronos really going to be able to follow up on that? He's not going to be. So yeah, he does have his passive now, which is that toxicity, which did receive some changes. It's no longer an orb, so you can get orbs now with him. But look at the bottom lane. We already have a gank coming out from Tempest, trying to do some body blocking, but it's not going to be enough. Wretched Hag actually did choose to level up that Haunt level 1, so trying to play this lane very aggressively.
Yeah, we see right there, Spader Rex on Tempest just barely not getting there quick enough. If he got there a fraction of a second earlier, that could have been a successful gank with the hero blocking, but wasn't able to get there in time, and instead is just going to go back to farming. But as you said, Wretched Hag going to Haunt early on, the level 2 Haunt even, so yeah, a lot of pressure being applied to Pharaoh here. And no easy, or no, is it nose or no easy? I've always said it no easy.
I think it's probably no easy, yeah.
No easy. Anyways, a lot of pressure at this bottom lane, so as you're kind of even stating going into the matchup, you think Wretched Hag definitely still has the advantage when it's all said and done. And so far that is showing off. Granted, Jonathan Fan, I mean, his creep score is actually not looking too bad. 7-3 compared to the 8-3 Hag right now. So not too shabby. Oh, middle lane, actually Kronos going in. There's a Burning Shadow stun on a Kronos throw as soon as he's in auto-attack formation. Trying to eat through the trees, though. Still chasing Fade, but Fade's doing a little bit too much juke right there. Going to be fine. Meanwhile, back to the bottom lane. Jonas Fan in a lot of trouble. Pharaoh maybe dropping right here. Arena see a Bloodlust go. One more auto attack. Oh, no, not enough damage. That shield barely enough absorption. He uses the health potion, and he will survive when it's all said and done. Wow. Thought for sure we were going to see Bloodlust.
Yeah, and does get the health potion. Actually uses the Tormented Soul to cancel that mana potion from Tempest, so that's got to be annoying. He does not have any more mana potions, and he needs, I think it's 170 mana to use that Elemental. It is only level 1. He did actually, during that, Male picks up a kill onto Nequa that supports Slither, using the assistance of Styles, so good roam from Male playing that Parasite.
Yeah, I happen to be watching that, and thing to keep in mind, Slither, he's not the greatest range, only 500 range, and as you were even kind of mentioning earlier, so there's a saw right there, he's uphill, he's trying to keep in placement for harassment on the Fade, but he just simply did not see Parasite coming in with a Catman champion. Obviously, a little bit of an annoying thing going up against a Parasite is if he's in a minion, you don't see the big dot on the mini-map. You have to notice the small little dot running up to you, so you got to wonder maybe if that was an issue for that. But in the end, Parasite sets up a great gank. Male, again, a great Parasite player, as we said, going into the game. Takes over the Catman champion, sets up the Bloodlust. And did he get it, actually? Yeah, he even got the Bloodlust kill himself. So Fade, no doubt, outmatched here in the middle lane. But with at least the assistance right there, not too bad. And at the very least, getting some levels and trying to do her part. Kronos, on the other hand, however, Loda is having a good time. The question for me is, again, as we saw the last 2 games, Loda played Kronos. We saw him go a couple different things, and one game was a Rune Cleaver, I believe. Another game was an Alchemist Bones. What do you have a preference here, or are you just going to say, we'll see what he does?
I actually liked the build he did last time. It seems quirky and weird, but he went to the Alchemist Bones, the Steam Boots, and then he actually went Thunderclaw and then Shrunken Head after that.
That's right, yeah.
And it actually worked out. It did a lot of damage. The one thing I'm worried about, as we actually have Male scouting around in the actually enemy jungle, is that this Tempest is farming very, very slowly.
We do have a nearly kill in the middle lane. Hold it thought for a second. Fade is in a lot of trouble. In comes Melee, trying to save him. They'll turn this around, and Kronos will fall. Slither takes out Fade, but at what cost right here? Neek was in a lot of trouble. Acid Cocktail will stun him in place. The level 1 Cursed Ground comes out. Level 2, excuse me. That should definitely be enough damage. There's the final auto attack. One more tick, not even necessary. Melee picks up a double tap, and Melee is now 3-0 as a result. Very good timing on his part with the Minotaur right there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was really good for him. And then Kronos dies, unfortunately, only sitting at 27 CS compared to the free farming Dark Lady, who's at 34. And getting not only uncontested farm, but he's getting like pretty much solo levels as well because Voodoo just roamed around. So, I mean, while he's level 5, probably close to level 6, Kronos only level 4. Now, the only thing they need right now is Wretched Hag in this bottom lane is actually tied pretty much in CS. Pretty much identical, 21-6 to 20-6. With this Pharaoh, and that just simply needs to not happen. He needs to be doing a little bit better than that. Maybe he does realize that, you know, Parasite is in the opposite jungle, or in their own jungle, and can't really do anything crazy down here without getting harassed from him, maybe. But yeah, like I was saying, the factor is that Tempest is farming ridiculously slowly.
Yeah.
He did opt to go into the extra stun instead of the elementals, and then lost his mana because he was spending so much time trying to gank this Pharaoh that he's lost a lot of farm. Only 18 CS. In this amount of time. And actually, Tundra does go down to the Dark Lady Voodoo Jester combination, getting that Curse of Ground out. And of course, Dark Lady with all her spells on top of the Ghost Marchers doing a lot of damage.
Yeah, that was just way too much to handle for Tundra right there. Bottom lane, Kronos is going to pick up the regen. It will be taken off immediately by Melee right there. I mean, not the biggest deal in the world. He was nearly full life in mana anyways. But at least he did get the rune and, you know, protected it from, I guess, somebody else getting it. But good job at the same time for Melee being there, right place, right time. He is now level 6, actually. Again, Melee doing a fantastic job here of starting off for the team. Nova on Voodoo Jester. He loves this hero, clearly, and yet again making work of it. He right now has 2 assists so far in this game, 1 at the top, 1 in the middle lane. Strangby on Tundra, obviously, after that kill that happened onto him, he is continuing to play passive, not that he wasn't before, but you see that's a very aggressive ward of sight that was placed by Nova. They're very aware that Tundra's kind of hiding right now here in the jungle. Can they actually find him? Oh, he's near the creep wave. Are they going to turn this around? Voodoo Jester running around. No, it looks like Tundra's just going to be a little bit too far. Or will he? Out comes a Taint Soul. The Curse of Ground's applied. A couple of auto attacks. Is it going to be enough damage? Oh, I think it is. One more tick. Well, yep, he's going to be enough. That final auto attack guaranteed. A Tundra says, come here. It's not going to matter. He eventually falls. Another kill on a Tundra. Back to the bottom lane. We see initiation happening. But the face are coming just after Bat Blast from Wretched Hag. But now Noeezy's in a lot of trouble. Great Wrath of the Pharaoh counter initiation. Down goes Wretched Hag. Jonathan gets credit for the kill. Now he's going to turn this on to Tempest. The Hellfire is activated. And Tempest taking a lot of stuns. The creep is absorbing some of it, but it's not going to matter. And Melee picks up the kill right there. He is now officially an Ultimate Warrior at 4-0-1. And Q Squad is up 7-1 in hero kills overall.
Yeah, I just think that Melee playing this Parasite, I mean, he seems to be right now one of the better Parasite players in the game that I can think of. And he plays it effectively. He goes for the early Ghost Marchers. I think he buys boots first every single time. And look at that. In less than 400 gold, he's already going to have a Codex if he decides to split up his Ghost Marchers. And I mean, what at this point, at 9 minutes, who can really survive the burst of a Codex on top of a Face Hug, on top of all the spam that Parasite has? I would put it past that no one can. Maybe Tundra, but
Kronos if he gets a full rewind off.
Right.
Maybe.
For every single one. No.
Yeah, for every single one. Just kidding. We do see, actually, speaking of Kronos, he's going to run into Parasite right here. He's not trying to run in. Oh, the Chronosphere coming out. Loda wants this kill. I don't think he's going to get it, though. Just a little bit too far away. In the meantime, Mummy Wall trapping Slither. Jonas Fan will get the credit for the kill right there. Burning Shadow stun on a Wretched Hag. She's now in a little bit of trouble herself. She does that blink up in 5 seconds. Will it be enough? It looks like it is for now. Fade actually going invisible right there, activating her ultimate to maybe try to get positioning right here to finish off somebody. But not going to happen. Meanwhile, back to the top lane. Nova, another kill happening. They're going to catch Kronos though back down here. Jonas Fan jumps in with the Wrath of the Pharaoh on top of Fade. Gets that kill. So Loda is dead, but they're going to try to get the counter kill into Fade. It looks like, oh, the bottle charge is somehow slated. Her style is still alive. Finally will fall, but took them a little bit longer than they were wanting, that's for sure. But yeah, it is falling behind quickly here for Experience Gaming. They're already down 5,800 gold and 5,500 experience. You know, it's one thing to have all these kills happening at the bottom and the mid lane, but on top of that, Dark Lady's not only free farming, but she already has a hero kill and 2 assists on top of that.
Right.
She is just getting out of control quickly now.
Yeah, and when you look at this team, it doesn't exactly scream team fight to you, but at this point, they don't even have to worry about that because they're just picking off heroes left and right between Fade, Pharaoh, And, well, actually, every member of this Hellborn team, except for maybe Dark Lady, but even her, she's been quite involved in that lane where Tundra's come back. And, I mean, yeah, look at that. Codex already purchased up onto that Parasite. It's a well, just about 10-minute Codex with boot. It's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at this Tempest. This Tempest should have been free farming in the jungle, uncontested. Like I said, spent way too much time trying to gank this Pharaoh.
Oh, what do you see? Speaking of Pharaoh, running into Kronos right here. Support is, though, nearby. Tempest coming in with the Glacial Blast. But the Mummy Wall cutting off any path they had, so going to be fine. Fade is spotted by a Slither Ward, actually. So the Legion team very aware that she is nearby. In fact, they're just hugging that tower, knowing that danger is looming nearby. Ward aside here at the bottom. Rune is going to spot several heroes on Q Squad as they're trying to run around, as Nova just placed his own ward aside right on top of Nikwa's. That was placed right there. So no counter warding going to go on, but both teams do have vision in that area. String B is still level 3. Not that you can blame him, but man, that is unfortunate. Your Tundra still being level 3 at nearly 11 minutes into the game. He is not having much of an impact. Obviously, having that Shiver means he's having something, but here we go. The Codex going to be coming out. Not even used, actually, by Mally right there. There he uses the Codex after on a Wretched Hag, but they got the quick kill onto Tundra. Bat Blast hitting a couple of heroes. Not the worst Bat Blast ever by Wretched Hag, but is he going to follow it, though? He has Blink up in 1 second. It's not going to be worth it, and in the end will fall back. So, yeah, the Bat Blast actually hit a couple of heroes. Wasn't too bad, but just didn't have the follow-up to finish them off right there.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. And now it's on cooldown. That's a relatively long cooldown, I believe, at level 1. Yeah, he won't have that for another 115 seconds right now. And he seems to be kind of doing the best on his team. Well, Loda actually has a little bit more farm, but like I said, Kronos, that hero is similar to Flint. Actually, in the meantime, Tempest is getting gone on here, and he is not able to get his ultimate off in time for the ports to help him out. There's Kronos jumping in. Does he have enough mana for his ultimate? Oh, he could completely misses after Fade used that ultimate, so I don't even know why he was trying for it. I don't even know if they could have gotten the kill on Fade had he hit him because the Bat Blast was down.
Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely a silly Chronosphere.
He would have just been invis after the Chronosphere.
Exactly. It just seemed like he was just really almost even frustrated right there, just so desperate to try to get something that just figured he'd use it, see if anything would happen, but clearly it did not. So it really is starting to snowball a little bit here in game number 1. So kind of going back to your prediction, Trelf, of going into this game, I just felt like Q Squad was just honestly going to have a fairly easier time here in the series. Well, at least in game number 1, they're definitely living up to that. Experienced Gaming, they're just falling way too far behind. I mean, Kronos himself, he only has 230 gold per minute. He has a Steam Boot. He has the Iron Shield that he went for first. He actually has another Gloves with a Swift purchase. Yeah. So either Alchemist Bones or even Thunderclaw going to be next in line. I would think Alchemist Bones. I mean, that just seems to be a Loda's style especially, but even if he somehow gets Alchemist Bones even in a couple of minutes, you know, what it's, as we talk about with Rune Cleaver, it's just a farming tool really in the end. So,
yep, and you compare that to the 450 gold per minute Dark Lady who already has Ghost Marchers and just needs another 200 gold for that Rune Cleaver, and is going to farm infinitely faster and have more of an impact in the game than Kronos. I mean, frankly speaking, Dark Lady's just a better hero than Kronos. Just, he is. Kronos has its uses in teamfight early on, and actually late game the Chrono ulti is very, very effective, but hey, so is the Dark Lady ultimate. I mean, that ultimate's ridiculously strong in teamfight. Not to mention, she puts out a massive amount of damage and just farms faster.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, things not really connecting too well right now for Experienced Gaming, but obviously going to give it their best shot. Here we are now 13.5 minutes in here. They're down 12-2 in hero kills, nearly a 10,000 gold lead on top of 6,700 experience. A lot of ports here to the bottom lane. They're clearly trying to make something happen down here. In fact, Kronos jumping in there. Chronosphere coming out. Where is the follow-up? Wretched, I got great Bat Blast on top of Slither. The Tempest ultimate even used, and they will pick up a couple of kills. Now, in the meantime, Tundra does get picked up at the top lane, but they make it a 2-for-1 exchange, and now going to push this tower. That was a lot used, though, but they did get 2 kills on a Parasite and Pharaoh. We'll see if they get a tower kill, especially on top of this. That could really make it worth it.
Yeah, I will say that actually I've noticed that they use this Kronos hero with Wretched Hag, and it synergizes actually quite well together. And you got to give them that, but on top of that, there's just too much farm up on this Hellborn team, specifically Dark Lady. Like, I don't know how they're going to take her down, and I don't know how they're going to stop her farm at this point. They're going to need like something like a Blink on Tundra, but he's nowhere close to that. And the only other initiation tool they have is maybe a Kronos, but he needs to spend his time farming. And in the meantime, actually, Fade does initiate the face hug coming out on the Kronos, but Fade will fall as a result of no easy getting the last hit. There's Castor coming out, a couple more auto attacks onto Slither. There's actually the Jonas fan snipes him out. Curse of Ground is up on Tempest. He's very low on mana. Male actually chooses to use a spam. One more auto tech. No, yes, he actually does blink back in. Nequan actually gets credit for the kill. And now Pharaoh is pursuing this Tempest. Tempest does get the Glacial Blast on Ancho, but there's the hook actually. And it's not going to be enough for nobody. Has a tremendous soul. Kronos buys back actually. Loda trying to pick up this kill onto, oh my god, is he going to use the walls to maybe get away? Do they have vision of him? I'm not quite sure. He's using those bottle charges. He actually uses his Q. What kind of juking is Jonas Fan up to? One more auto attack, but no easy. He's actually on a legendary streak, so kind of a crazy fight right there. I want to say that actually Experience did played out quite nicely, but you have to keep remembering that Dark Lady is not even there.
Well, and she got a kill, by the way, as well, while that was all happening. She got another kill onto String B. So,
oh god,
String B is 0-6-0 now. He is, to say the least, struggling this game on Tundra. He's still only level 5. Yeah, that's the biggest thing. I mean, sure, it was nice that Experience Gaming made a comeback in that specific fight, and no doubt they're even and the Golden Experience even did close a little bit as a result. That's not bad, but exactly, they still have a Dark Lady that they really haven't addressed whatsoever yet this game. Nox is now 2-0-2. We keep talking about Nox as he is just one of arguably the best farming players out there nowadays on the competitive HoN scene. Once again doing that here, 450 gold per minute. You just see him doing work here in the jungle, continuing to do so. He just purchased a Hungry Spirit actually, so an Abyssal Skull very likely going to be on the way for him, following up that early Runed Cleaver, of course. So yeah, you mentioned No Easy on Wretched Ag is on a nice streak himself. He's 5-1-2, 285 gold per minute, so hopefully he can start making something happen himself. But was that me, by the way?
Oh, I got it too.
I think, yeah.
I'm getting it actually a couple times.
I don't know if that was us or if that was actually just the server itself. They didn't say anything, so maybe that was just us. But actually, we have Fade right here jumping in with Voodoo Jester as well. All 5 are here for the Legion team. Blinking away is Wretched Ag. Voodoo Jester now in a lot of trouble. Fade realizing it doesn't make any sense to open. Now he's on top of a Ward of Revelation right here. Kronos jumping in, gets that Chronosphere off, and Fade may be in a lot more trouble now. Is he going to be able to get away in time? In jumps Wretched Ag with the Bat Blast, and Fade will fall when it's all said and done. He got the Coulson off just before Avalanche coming out, though. Parasite being locked down. In comes Jonas Fan. Will he get him? He mommy walls 4 heroes, actually. Is this going to matter? The Hellfire doing so much damage. Slither and Tempest barely getting away. Kronos obviously already dead as a result of that, but actually Jonas Fan is also falling back. The Acid Cocktail bouncing around. Nova coming back into the fight as it's bouncing around some more. Great bounce on the Slither right there. The Cursor Ground doing work. Is it going to be enough for the actual kill? I think it's going to be just shy. Oh yes, just shy of the kill. Wow, another crazy fight.
What a lucky bounce right there, Cassie, at the end. And actually, I felt like I was muted there. But yeah, this thing is still is that Nox is farming like a beast. And I will say that the positioning right there was pretty poor from Q Squad. Voodoo Jester was just way out of position. They wanted to have an opening with Fade, but there was too many heroes right there to open on. If the only way you could do this, maybe open on somebody and try to get like a quad stun, but that's too difficult to do. And so Nova's positioning just wasn't the greatest. But nonetheless, you still got Nox, man. You still got Nox on Dark Lady farming like crazy, and you still have burst and map control from you know, all 3 bottom heroes: the Parasite, the Fade, and the Pharaoh. And Jonas Fan has been making some big hooks. Now, despite his team dying before that big hook and that wall, it was still quite effective.
Yeah, it definitely was. I mean, he's actually farming nearly 300 gold per minute as well. He's got a helmet with the Black Legion, Steam Boots, and plenty of regen with the bottle and the power supply. So Steam Boots actually went on Parasite as well, so he follows up the early Ghost Marchers, splitting that up into Codex, and then eventually finishes Steam Boots. I don't know if that's his normal, actually. I don't think it is, but
I don't think so either. I think he just wants a little more HP.
More, but yeah, so he has the Steam Boots now. Fade, though, running into Tempest right here. Tempest winning first, but Tempest is going to regret that decision. He gets turned on quickly. Cursed Ground will not hit Slither. That may be the saving grace for him. In fact, definitely is. So, oh, what a wrath of the Pharaoh comes out from Jonas Fan, and Slither will fall when it's all said and done. In the meantime as well, Tempest obviously already dead. Wretched Ag taking the face hug. Will take the silence as a result, but is going to be able to blink away just fine. Chronosphere coming out, hitting 3 heroes. The Bat Blast going to be lined up perfectly in 2 seconds. Oh, we can't get it off in time. Parasite taking over creep. They're trying to assist around. Fade comes in. Wretched Hag will fall. If Hag had her ultimate off cooldown right there, that could have been so much different. Loda barely surviving with the time leap away, but it might not matter in the end. Burning Shadows up in 1. There's the Burning Shadows. The Cold to follow. And the Honey Badger don't care. Smackdown coming out from Style when it's all said and done. Genocide for Q Squad. Again, another really crazy fight, but especially after that fight, you'll look at the golden experience difference now. It is really taking its toll.
It's ridiculous. I mean, 19 minutes, not even 20 minutes to have 15,000 gold is absolutely insane. And then to add insult to injury yet again, they pick up the double stack Ancients right there. in a matter of seconds. And the Codex is now being leveled up on this Parasite. I feel like he wants to get kills quickly on the entire team. Now, right now, Wretched Hag is getting a little bit tanky, but you know, with that leveled up Codex, maybe something like level 5, you can easily burst him down with assistance from like a Tormented Soul from Pharaoh or what have you. But yeah, with the Abyssal Skull up, Firebrand up on Dark Lady. Firebrand is such a great farming tool in itself, by the way, because you get massive movement speed from it. Yeah. Well, I shouldn't say massive, but it makes you feel like you're much faster, as well as the attack speed. And so you can get around the map faster and just farm a lot quicker with that. But 550 gold per minute for her. Hasn't died once yet this game. Has good involvement in the team, as well as being at 2-0 and 6. So, yeah, right now they're simply just dominating in this game.
Yeah. You see the Shiver right here, again, scouting out some information for well, the Legion team. String B, you know, again, he had a really struggling start. He's 1-7-1 right now, so again, not the most impressive hero kill stats, but starting to be a lot more useful for the team, being that he is at least level 7. However, he may be in a little bit of trouble right here, and so might Kronos, actually. In fact, there's the open from Fade. Tundra's going to drop right here. One more auto attack. There we go. Ultimate Warrior Streak coming out for Style. Meanwhile, the tower in the middle lane actually getting denied by Nox right there. Kronos, by the way, Solota is going to be going that Thunderclaw, as you can see with his items. He actually jumps in right here. Another Chronosphere coming out this time on a Pharaoh. It also catches Melee in the Ballista, but a Burning Shadow's going to frame. The Tempest ultimate pulling them in. Is Wretched Hag anywhere nearby? She is. She gets the bat blast off. Fade will fall, but Tempest falls as well. It is right now a 2 versus 2. Parasite trying to run away. He could infest the Shiver. Need to be careful about that if it was off cooldown. Kronos in the meantime, though, taking a lot of return damage. The Rewind doing some work, but it's not going to be nearly enough. He will eventually fall. Double tap coming out from Melee. And the Hellborn team is once again going to start rolling over the fight. Nox joins the party, and that just really ended it, if any chance Experience had in that fight. So they're going to easily push this tower.
I feel bad for Nox. He keeps jumping in to try to fight somebody, but can never finish anybody off because he doesn't have his slow or snare yet from Frostburn. But nonetheless, still wants to be active. And yeah, these team fights are just too difficult to take with this much farm. I mean, that's all there is to it. You actually have, like you were mentioning, good team fight capabilities between the Chrono ulti, the Wretched Hag ulti, the Slither ulti, the Tempest ulti. There's all great team fight abilities, but when you're fighting against a team that has 17,000 gold on you, what much can you do? Or what much more can you do?
Kronos has used like 10 Chronospheres, it seems like, this game.
Yeah, he's very liberal.
Yeah, he is not afraid to use them, and, you know, for good reason, again, as you were just even addressing there. It's the synergy is no doubt there, but exactly. You're down by so much at this point. In fact, now you get 19,000 gold with that tower kill, 15,000 experience. It really, it's just not likely going to be a comeback scene here. But of course, it is Experience Gaming's choice by all means, and whether or not they do want to move on to game number 2 or stay in this game and see if there is any fighting hope left. We're at 22.5 minutes in right now. So again, this is just game number 1, to reiterate that. So of course, a best out of 3 series. We are going to at least be having that one more game. We'll see how, well, in this case, if it stands this case, how Experience Gaming responds. But for now, QsQ, you know, just keep playing their game, and in a sense, we talk about this all the time. It really is their game to lose at this point. I mean,
oh yeah,
it's they can make several mistakes even and still be not the worst situation. But Nox is up here at the top lane. She has her Frostburn finish. She's over even 600 gold per minute now. I can't wait for her. I know we're not going to be posting the stats on the Hunter website for the qualifiers. That doesn't start until the first cycle. But to see how players like Nox, you know, just really stand out there on top of it. I'm sure he's going to be up there.
I think it's for good reason we're not going to have the qualifiers because, you know, when you're getting 700 gold per minute against teams that don't really have a name in the scene, compared to getting 700 gold per minute against Complexity, it's a much bigger deal.
Yeah,
so.
that's a good point. So, yeah, that's definitely going to be a lot of fun. I'm curious if they're actually going to break it down by like division and stuff. I didn't even think about that, but. Anyways, that'll of course be coming with once the HoN Tour cycles actually start just after DreamHack. But until then, we'll just have to wait. I know, darn it. Dark Lady, again, just farming up here in the middle lane. She is pushed up a little bit, but not the most worried about getting jumped. Wretched Hag, no easy. I mean, he has continued to have a great game here. He's 7-2-4, nearly 300 gold per minute. He continues to be the top farmer on his team. He is working on a shrunken head, it looks like, and it's actually very close. So. That will be good, no doubt, having a shrunken head. But, I mean, it's one of those... It's an interesting because at the same time, having a shrunken head will prevent a lot of damage on the Hellborn side, but it's getting it off before all the damage comes out. I mean, you got Parasite, Fade, Dark Lady. If you getting off your shrunken head before you get bursted down is difficult enough, so...
Yeah, well,
even having that.
The thing is with her, it's like, you want to be able to just blink in, use your spells, and then not have to worry about dying right after that. So the best thing to do is blink in, Bat Blast, Sonar Scream, Shrunken Head, run away, then blink back in if you need to again. So, yeah, and that seems to be an exclusively HoN type of build. So I'm wondering if Noise has been playing a little bit more HoN, at least, going the item Shrunken Head on Wretched Hag. So, anyway, the Kongor has been slain, obviously, and the Token of Life is up on Dark Lady, who's just, it's just getting scary about how farm she is. But they're pushing the mid lane, and it looks like they actually want to defend. Usually if you're up, you don't want to trade towers, and here we go.
Here we go. Fade jumping in right there. Burning Shadows. He actually activates the ultimate. These Reflection after Dark Lady also joining the party. He has that cover of darkness, not using just yet. Out comes the dust, and down goes Wretched Hag. Chronosphere in the background, but Kronos is taking a lot of damage. Or no, getting stunned himself, I should say. Voodoo Jester barely alive. The Tempest ultimate is stopped immediately and falls shortly after. Kronos going down right there, and Jonas of Fan doing work. You see GG's already starting to be called. I think, I think Experience Gaming realizes just too much to handle, and we're very likely going to be moving on to a game 2 here in this best out of 3. In fact, there's the vote to concede, and there we go. It passes, so it is official. So Q Squad will be taking game number 1 here in this best out of 3 over Experience Gaming. So you did call it, Trout. You know, again, going into the first game at least, seems like that is the case. We'll see. It is a best of 3 series, so don't get too ahead of yourself. But yeah, Q Squad clearly just the more experienced team. They're dedicated to HoN. I mean, they're very prepared, and it showed right there in that game.
Yeah, and again, it's not that these players don't have talent. It's just a couple things. Like, I mean, Suicide Hunter, it does work. It's not the worst thing in the world, but there's a time and a place for it. I don't think this game was it. Bottom lane, there's a time and place for Slither, and actually this was a time to do it, except they went mid for some reason. Now, they did shut down Fade just a little bit, but how much can you really shut down a Fade to make it that effective? I mean, I've talked about before, too, gankers like Fade especially Fade, don't really need that much farm. All they need is levels. And especially when you're 2v1ing in mid, that's a place to get easy levels. And while you can maybe do a little bit of harass to Fade, there's really no threat of him dying, at least with the Chronos Slither lane. I mean, there's just not that much damage outputting. And bottom lane, Pharaoh was able to get good farm against Wretched Hag. Wretched Hag did do quite well, but the main thing was that Tempest kept trying to gank way too much, and it hindered a lot of his farm, ending the game with only 145 gold per minute, 146 gold per minute. And that's because he just tried to gank too much. He leveled up that Glacial Blast and didn't prioritize his farm in the jungle first.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's so again, several things kind of adding up there for Experience Gaming as to maybe why it wasn't as close as they were hoping for at the very least. But in the end, Q Squad, again, a great team and definitely doing work here in game number 1. But again, it is just game number 1. So with that said, once again, we're going to take a quick break here, guys. And game number 2 will be coming up shortly. So sit tight. Experience Gaming taking on Q Squad. We'll see what happens in game number 2 coming up next.